Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope all of you are doing good. So with me here is the retail version of the Nokia G60 5G. So the G60 5G is currently available in Taiwan. You can also purchase it in UK. What makes the purchase from Taiwan more interesting is that they do offer the higher configuration for the G60 5G. So this is a dual SIM 6GB RAM 128GB storage edition. The one from UK is primarily 4GB with 128GB of RAM, which is the maximum configuration available there. So alongside with the purchase, you also get the free case included. So this is the original Nokia G60 case. Hope you can see that clearly. So this is the clear case that comes with the purchase. Unfortunately for buyers in UK, I do believe that you have to purchase this separately. So with that said, let's take a look into the Nokia G60 5G. I'm just going to do a simple unboxing. I've tried the device for the past 2 days. So as you can see, we have a promise of 3 years of Android upgrades, 3 years of security updates. And over the back, you still have the new theme, love it, trust it, and keep it. So a couple of interesting facts. Nokia, or rather HMD Global, is now pushing for sustainable technology. So this is made through recycled material. So the side panels are actually made through at least 60% of recycled plastic body, whereas the back panel of the device is made of 100% recycled body parts, so which is quite good to the environment. Now, as usual, stay up to date with the OS upgrades as well as the security updates. This is powered by the Snapdragon 695 5G, so we can all be thankful that HMD Global decided to step up the game with a much better processor compared to the 480 and the 480 Plus. So something new here is the 120Hz refresh rate on a 6.58 Full HD Plus screen with 20:9 aspect ratio. And as always, the most interesting part of any Nokia device is how good the camera is. So there's a lot going in with the camera. I will have a complete walkthrough in the later part of the video. And this is promised to have 2 days of battery life with 4500 mAh battery, which can be fast charged using a 20-watt charger, which is supposedly good for 800 cycles of charges. So with that said, I'm just going to do a simple unboxing, and then I'm going to do a complete walkthrough of the device and share some of the new things that I have noticed with the G60 5G. So you can simply just take it open like this, and then we'll just keep this device aside here. Now the packaging is rather simple. I do believe all these are recycled material. So you can see there are no charger bundle together with this device. You do have a USB-C cable, and that's about it. So that and this cute looking SIM ejector tool. I think it's kind of fancy. I hope you can see that too. So this is the Nokia G60 5G. Now the design is very similar to the ones on the Nokia G21. This is not entirely a bad thing, because that means HMD Global is focusing in areas that matter more. So this is the black one. It has this starry night finishing. You've got this sort of like this stars design. Now it feels matte and it feels comfortable. This is made of 100% recycled material compared to the ones on the sides. The frames are made of plastic, which are 60% consisting of recycled material. Now with that said, I'm not quite sure what is the material used for the camera island here, because the ones on the Nokia G21 has a lot of scuffs. I do hope this is not the case here. On the X30 you do have protection with Gorilla Glass DX. Now it has a 50 megapixel primary camera along with a 5 megapixel ultra wide and a 2 megapixel depth camera. Now I hope you can see this is written as a 50 megapixel AI camera, quite similar to the ones advertised on the Nokia G21, but this is entirely a different beast altogether. So on the front you've got an 8 megapixel camera, and on the left you will notice that we do not have any Google Now button. If at all you miss them, you can actually program your power button to act as your Google Now activation button. On the top you've got a single microphone. On the bottom you've got a 3.5mm head jack, along with another microphone, a USB-C charging port, and a bottom firing speaker. Now, speaking about the bottom firing speaker, in my usage, I noticed that the volume is quite teeny compared to the ones on the XR20. It doesn't mean that it is not loud, it is just that it's not as loud as the one on XR20, but audio is still crisp and audible. And on the right hand side, you've got a power button which also houses the fingerprint scanner. The fingerprint scanner is really fast and accurate, and you've got a volume rocker on the top. Now, with that said, this is a 6.8-inch display, 20 by 9 aspect ratio. So I think it's 6.8 or 6.58. Now, it is a full HD plus display capable of 400 nits of brightness, and it can go up to 500 in certain scenarios. So it is protected by Gorilla Glass 5, and what's more interesting is that it supports a 120 Hz refresh rate, which is actually really exciting, especially if you're into gaming and all that. Now, what is interesting with this device is that it has a very good display compared to any other Nokia budget device, and it can actually even rival the slightly more premium one. So I'm going to show you the differences between the display of the Nokia G60 and also Nokia 7.2 shortly. The G60 is actually quite good. So to demonstrate this is the Nokia 7.2 and this is the Nokia G60. Now do note that the playback on the G60 is limited at 1080p 60 frames per second, whereas on the 7.2 it can go all the way up to 4K, but to make this test standard we are playing both at 1080p 60 frames per second. Now we do note that the 7.2 has or advertised to have a better display, a pure display technology, whereas on the G60 there is no such thing. But you can see that it can match, and it is also better in certain aspects in terms of vibrancy and in terms of dynamic range. I'll just let you enjoy some of these clips and you can make the decision yourself which is a better or a more worthy display. So you can see how the Nokia G60 can hold up against the Nokia 7.2. So this is the camera interface. You can see that the interface is slightly different than the ones before. So you've got more options on either side of the screen now. Now, if you were to go into the menu, you will see that you've got readily accessible options to change the aspect ratio, to set the timer, to activate the watermark. You can even choose to shoot 50 megapixel in the primary camera mode. You've got option to activate the level meter, and what the level meter does is once you activate it, it pops out on your screen. So the moment that you lock into a perfect balance with your surroundings, it will give you an haptic feedback, and you can just click the image so that you don't have any tilted image whatsoever. Now, if you go more on the settings side, you will notice that you do have something called as the automatic night shot. So automatic night shot is slightly different than the ones before. The AI before detects the night scene and suggests for a night mode instead. But in the automatic night shots, the moment that the device realizes or detects the scenery is actually night or dark, it automatically takes the image in night mode, although you are in the standard mode. So this is one of the good things with the current updated camera software. So do note that the device can also record in Ozo audio output, but I have not tried this yet, so I do not know the quality. I'll be making a separate video, a more in-depth video on this later. So when it comes to the video recording, yes, it does support Ozo audio recording. It has this wind noise reduction. You can activate video stabilization. I am not really quite sure how much of the stabilization it has to offer, as can't notice much here. Probably not as good as the ones on the Nokia 8.3. So do note that this recording is maxed at 1080p 60 frames per second. So other settings for the video, I don't think so there's pretty much anything there. Now when it comes to portrait mode, then you can activate the AI portrait mode, which does actually have a better output. I will be showing that sample in a while. Now when it comes to night mode, this is one of the improvements with the latest camera update. Now previously there are 3 different modes when it comes to the night mode, which is basically the tripod mode, the dark vision, and also the standard night mode. Now before this, the AI will determine which to use in different scenarios, but now you can manually assign. So one of the good things about this is that the tripod mode allows you to shoot for a longer exposure time. Now you can see, because the surrounding is bright, it is max at 4 seconds, but I have taken images from up to 48 seconds of exposure, and I'll share that image in a while here as well. So dark vision is something that you might not want to use to share, but what it does is that it can take image in pretty dark situation, but do expect that image to be slightly noisy and slightly out of use. So probably not much of a benefit from there, unlike the tripod mode. Now other options that you have is the pro mode, which is quite good. Once you activate pro mode, then you have the options to shoot in RAW. Now you do notice that the pro mode now comes with some additional accessibility for the separate parameters on the left hand side of the screen, so it makes things easy, especially if you're going to capture with your using both your hands. So you've got a better camera control. At the same time, you can choose whatever options you want from either side of the screen, so you can focus more on the stability of your camera. So I'm going to show you some of the images that I've taken with the camera and walk through from what I could gather for now. So this is some preliminary reviews of the camera. So the camera performance certainly exceeded my expectation. The output is even much better than I thought it would be. Now early on I told you regarding the portrait mode. So this is the portrait mode from the front facing camera, and you can see that this is taken in the standard portrait mode, and this is with the AI activated. Now pretty much I would say there is not much of a difference. The edge detection works okay. You can see some part of my hair is not cut out, which is pretty good, but the tone, the skin color is slightly off. I look slightly red here, and the AI mode actually makes it much better. Now one of the things that I did not enjoy with the previous portrait mode from Nokia, be it the G series, be it the Nokia 5.4, 5.3, and even the 8.3, is the aggressive sharpening and noise that is introduced. So one of the things that I noticed with the Nokia G60 5G is that it reduces the level of noise. It doesn't tend to over sharpen, which makes things look much pleasant. So this is one sample that you can see that the blur is much gradual. It does not cut off the extra hair strands that is popping out in the back, which is actually quite good, and definitely one of the better or probably the best portrait mode for now. I've not tested the Nokia X30 5G, still some time before it reaches here. So probably one of the best portrait mode out there, and it does nails the details, the colors in a very well balanced manner. So it's quite interesting to see that. So the other thing that I want to show you is the tripod mode. Now this is how a standard photo would look like. Now without the night mode, this is how the images would turn out to be. So this is just at my backyard, and just a random testing, and this is how it looks like with the tripod mode on. You can see the amount of differences that both these mode has. One of the things that is interesting here is that not only that images looks brighter, it is sharper, and there is very minimal noise here. Now of course I had this camera placed on a stable platform, so there's practically zero movements. Now some of the things that are the highlights. I think in daytime the camera output is quite good. It is pretty sharp with very minimal noise, and I really like the output. It's quite natural. the color looks really natural and really close to the actual scene. So very less noise, or practically none in most cases. So you can see the details are sharp and you don't see much of noise. So this is one of the benefits of actually harnessing the AI to do, unlike the previous ones on the Nokia G21, which has AI branded cameras, but the output were not that good. So what about the daytime images? I would say that the daytime images are good. In my preliminary test, I noticed that the camera output has better dynamic range than even the Nokia XR20, which is a more premium device. Now, the fusion technology that is being used for the ultra-wide setup is actually quite elusive, in a sense that I'm not really sure how it works, but I do expect it to combine the primary and the ultra-wide output. What I suspect is that the center image is actually through the 50 megapixel sensor and the peripheries are from the 5 megapixel output. So if we were to see here, the center image has a decent amount of quality, not much of noise, color is good, dynamic range is good. But as you move on to the peripheries of the image, you can see how noisy, how lack of details, image appears really blotchy. So as you transition from the periphery, from the center to the periphery, you will notice these changes. So that means that the fusion is actually working. It actually combines both the input, and since the base camera is at 5 megapixel, and that means this is expected out of a 5 megapixel output, and the center is probably where it matters. Now, this is the portrait mode from the front-facing camera. Now, I'm just going to show you the sample of the portrait mode. You can see that the images look really natural. There's no sharpening, there is no noise, and the blurring, although this looks quite excessive, it is still more uniform than the ones on the Nokia G21, for example. So, like I said, no sharpening here. The contrast is maintained, something that even the Nokia 8.3 fails to do, despite having new updates. So here's more samples that I can show you that practically the noise level is very minimal with the new camera algorithm, and details are really preserved. You don't see any excessive sharpening. Images looks really pleasant in general. So it's something that you can actually be really happy about, especially at this price point. So you can see how the image just looks nice without any excessive sharpening. So this is the quick review of the Nokia G65G, and there will be an in-depth coverage on the camera performance, and I will be covering the G60 versus a couple more Nokia devices to show you or to gauge how much improved the new camera software is. So with that said, I hope all of you stay safe and take care. If you think that this video is beneficial, you enjoy watching this video, do subscribe, do like, and do comment in the comment section below. So as I've said earlier, I will be sharing the camera APK, so if you find that helpful, do give us a thumbs up. But do take note, I cannot promise that everything will go smooth. It might even break your device, so do take note and do proceed with a bit caution. So with that said, I'll see you in the next one.